to catch little turtles.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to throw them in boiling water and brush them out and clean them up. And I used to sell them for neckerchief slides. And people loved them for neckerchief slides.
Don't do that today.
No,
Why is that?
the Animal Rights Act.
Yeah, we wouldn't want you to be killing turtles just to make neckerchief slides today.
They liked them then.
The tastes were a little different then.
Yeah.
So all this activity that you had, you seem to be very entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
Okay, and you also like to work with your hands.
Yeah.
You obviously love shop,
Yeah.
working on the motors.
Yeah.
You did the Boy Scouts. Did you earn badges with the Boy Scouts?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Anything about the Scouts, where you would go camping or where you would go hiking with the Scouts?
Remember when you did the food underground?
Huh?
The food underground?
You put
The what?
The food you made underground in dirt?
Oh yeah. I used to, it wasn't underground. I used to wrap food like hamburgers and stuff like that there and vegetables. And I used to put it in quite a few wraps of tinfoil. And I used to get a big fire going. And when the fire died down, it was all coals. I'd take a shovel and I put the packs in there and cover it up like that there, and that would cook everything just perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my own idea.
and then you would do this when you were on your camping and.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Where would you go with Boy Scouts? What areas? Near
Mostly at
Norristown?
Delmont.
Mostly Delmont.
You know where Delmont's at?
You said along the Perkiomen Creek.
In Valley Forge?
Oh, Valley Forge.
And Valley Forge. I was on the council at Valley Forge.
Mm-hmm.
But what's that sale up there, Perkiomenville?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the auction.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's up where Delmont was,
Mhm.
and they had a bridge there. That what they called it, the Bridge of Smiles.
Did the president come one year when you were at Jamboree?
Yeah, I forget what
Valley
president
Forge.
it was. It was probably Roosevelt or something, or Lincoln. I don't know.
So you would be the Jamboree, of course, at Valley Forge.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
When
and I was on the council, and that's where I made all these packets of food in tinfoil, several wrappers, and I moved the hot coals away and I put them down there and I covered it up. And I was the cook for all the kids' moms and dads that was coming. And they knew I was going to be the cook. And we're all sitting around this bed of coals and whatnot. And they said, "Isn't it time you start to make something to eat?" And I said, "You ready to eat?" I got my shovel and I got these packets out and they loved it. That was the best meal they ever had.
Well, it seems like your high school colleagues got you wrong when they thought you'd be the least likely to succeed.
Yeah.
Because you were showing even at a young age.
And like I
your
say, then
skills.
I got a job at Bridgeport, and I was running this scour machine where they have these big skeins of yarn, and this scour machine must went from here almost out to the road, and it went in one and in the other one, and it got cleaner and cleaner and cleaner, and the guy out to the end, he would take it and put it on a hand truck, and then they would take it and put it in this big dryer. And when I got there, they used to have put so many carts through the machine, and they used to, this chain was going up there in all the bins and all the. And when I got there, I used to put two aside, and then I used to stack them like that there, and the guy at the end always used to push the stop button because he couldn't get them off the machine fast enough. And then the boss would always come over. He said, "What'd you stop the machine off?" He said, "I can't handle all this yarn that's coming out of here and whatnot." But so I got breaks while he was stopping the machine. I just got a break while he was stopping the machine to get a hand truck or whatever. And That was, and then I had to walk from Bridgeport to Norristown High School, and I was usually late.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I liked, like I say, about the high school was shop. That's the only thing that made sense to me.
Now you never graduated from high school.
Now, I quit in the 11th grade
Mhm.
because in the 11th grade, they had, the auditorium was full and they were giving out all the awards.
Or you told them that.
Huh?
Yeah. Well,
Or
at
you told
that,
them that story.
yeah, you
And
told,
they
yeah,
called
yeah,
my name.
yeah, you told us that already.
What about working at the farm with your grandpa and the sausage machine and all?
Oh, yeah, my grandmom had a farm in Limerick,
This is your mother's.
and my
Yeah.
mom's mom.
And they were
Yeah.
from Hungary.
Yeah.
And they used to take the intestines from the pigs, and I used to have to turn the intestines inside out and scrape the lining off of it and hang it up on a curtain dryer for it to dry, and they came out like cellophane. And then you would put it on this tube, and then you would start cranking this thing, and all the sausage would come out, and every foot or so you used to tie a string on it. And that's what they used to sell all over Norristown and the outskirts of Philadelphia.
You went on the meat truck, right?
Huh?
You went on a meat truck with them, right?
Yeah,
That's how you make sausage.
yeah. And that's how they made, today they make it out of plastic. And I don't know why, maybe that's why people's health ain't too good.
So your grandparents lived near Limerick.
Yeah,
Okay,
they
they
live
had.
right in Limerick.
So it was.
Back Steinmetz Road.
Okay.
Steinmetz
Yeah.
Road?
Yep, Steinmetz Road, and they did not have a farm, or
Yeah.
did they have a
Yeah,
farm?
yeah, they had a
1,000
farm and they
chickens.
had a big barn and they had chickens,
Hmm.
and I used to go up there to help. The whole family used to go up there to help with the farm, and I used to pick the eggs. And I used to, the picked chickens were all in the nests and whatnot, and I used to reach under to get the eggs and pick it. The chicken would pick you,
You're not nice like Archie.
and I would smack that chicken.
So your grandparent, there's your mother's family came from Hungary, and they
Budapest.
from Budapest, and they eventually settled in Limerick. They had a small farm, and
That wasn't a small farm, it was like,
Pretty big.
what, 50 acres?
50 acres. That's big farm for around there.
And the whole family would go up there when it was
Do the
the
corn.
fall to husk corn.
Hmm.
And everybody would go up to help them with the farm. And I used to husk corn up there too.
And your grandpa, how many languages did he know? Lots.
Yeah, 7 or 8.
Hmm.
My grandfather knew 7 or 8 languages.
But he
And
was
I never knew what he was saying.
He was
So-
a liar.
And, all I know was I say, what'd you say, Grandpa? He said, who's a liar?
And
Who's a liar? That's the only thing I know that he said.
he didn't have. He could choose any language he wanted if he didn't want you to understand, right? He
Yeah.
could how was his English?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Probably wasn't good. I don't know either.
And your
Do you
grand
want me to get you a chair?
No?
yeah. and your grandmother. What do you remember about her?
She liked wrestling.
Huh?
She used to come over to watch wrestling on the TV.
Oh,
My
later on.
grandma. Oh yeah, my grandma rode wrestling, and when they could afford a television, my grandma was glued to there watching the wrestling.
So her name was also Rose.
No.
No.
Victoria?
Yeah, I think it was Victoria.
So your grandparents were probably married in Budapest and then came over,
Mhm.
probably before World
They
War
had
One.
some children there. Didn't all, not everybody came over at the same time. Pretty
Okay,
sure.
and they were farmers and they were successful.
Oh yeah, yeah. I wanted to have 50 acres.
Yeah, well, they had like 11 kids or something crazy, or 8 kids. I don't know. A lot of kids.
Well,
But the whole
farm-
family used to go up when it was time to bring in the corn,
and do that.
and the whole family used to help up at the farm.
Uh-huh.
And like I say, I used to crank out the sausage for the stuffing.
He was a butcher, your grandpa. Your
Yeah,
dad.
and they had a meat
Your
route that went all over Norristown, the outskirts of Philadelphia, selling sausage and steaks and stuff like
And
that.
of course, you had eggs too.
Oh yeah.
So you left high school early in 11th grade. What did you do when you decided you were going to leave high school? First of all, was your mother happy with that decision?
I don't recall that she said anything. I could say I was working at True Form Corset Company, cutting snaps. And before that, I was working at Lee's Mill, scouring yarn, and I had to walk from Bridgeport to the other end of Norristown to get to school. And I was usually late.
Now, after you left high school, when you decided you didn't want any more schooling,
Yeah,
you eventually then landed a job in the quarry, right?
yeah.
How were you still young? You were still a teenager?
Well, no, I was married, and we lived down in Collegeville, Route 29, and we lived in a long, elongated building, and there was a wall between me and the neighbors, and it was Dolly Sagrants, Dolly and Albert. And what was it, Penny? Dolly and Albert Sagrants.
Yeah.
So you actually met your wife to be, soon after high school, right?
Well, I wasn't there.
Uh,
I don't know the time lapse, but he met my mom at his aunt's social.
I went up to Stowe to visit my aunt, and then I met Shirley up there. She was a neighbor up there. I was working at my aunt's store.
shop.
She had a little ice cream store.
Up on High Street?
Yeah, it was up in Stowe.
Up in Stowe. And Shirley walked in?
Yeah, she lived only 2 blocks from there, but my aunt, her business started getting better when I started working here, and my aunt used to scold me. She said, "You're putting too much ice cream. I can't make any money in those milkshakes." And I said, "I'm putting just what you told me in there." I said, "Watch this," and I got the ice cubes, and I put them in this thing that chops them all up, and I put that in the ice cream, and that kept the ice cream from melting. And so the people could get the ice cream then. Because when you put room temperature milk in the ice cream, it all blends out.
Right.
And they said, that guy makes the best milkshakes. And her business started getting better and better and better.
So I take it one day you saw this young lady walk in.
She lived about 2.5 blocks from my aunt's store.
And when you saw her, was this love at first sight, or just
Oh,
she
yeah.
was just
Oh yeah.
you knew?
Yeah.
How old were you at this time?
13, 14, 15?
You were that young.
No, I don't know. I don't know.
15.
You were young.
That's
Yeah.
questionable.
So it was this is before marrying age.
Yeah. And then and one time she came in my aunt's store, and it was late, and I walked her home. She lived only like 2.5, 3 blocks from there, and I walked her home.
So she, at that time, did you think she looked upon herself as someday being attached to you? Do you think she had the same idea?
I don't know. I never really thought about it. All I know is I was going to get attached to her.
Didn't you hitchhike from Norristown?
Huh?
Didn't you hitchhike to Norristown?
Yeah,
from
I
Norristown?
hitchhiked from Norristown to Stowe just to work at my aunt's store.
And I see that you also had an ulterior motive here.
Oh, then I did,
Yeah.
to see Shirley.
Yeah. So when you were at the store, she would come in.
Yeah.
What would she order?
Milkshakes.
Any particular flavor?
No, I don't remember that, but
Probably vanilla. That was
Yeah.
her only ice cream.
that was my Aunt Helen's store.
Mm-hmm.
And she used to scold me for putting too much ice cream in there. I said, I'm putting just what you told me.
Now when Shirley would come in, okay, and you would talk to her. Did you guys ever do like any flirting or anything like that?
Well, she stayed sometime till I closed the store, and I would walk her 2.5, 3 blocks up to her house. And that's what. And they had an outhouse at that time in the yard.
Wasn't her mom nice?
Yeah. What? Yeah. What about?
Naomi.
Naomi?
Yeah. Naomi was her mother. So her mother's name was Naomi,
Yeah.
and you obviously had met her parents early on.
I never met her dad. I think her
was dead
dad
when
got.
she was little.
He was dead. I think he got killed in the war.
Not sure.
I'm not sure, but I never met her dad.
Mm-hmm.
He was never there.
So she was a widow.
Yeah.
And what did she think of you? You know. You have any idea what Naomi thought of you? Or let's put it another way. What did you think of her?
I really didn't care. All I was interested in is Shirley.
Yeah, but Shirley's her daughter.
I thought she was formidable. I thought she was grouchy and
Yeah. But like I say, I used to just walk Shirley up, and then I would walk back to my aunt's.
And you would stay with your aunt and then until you went back to Norristown.
Yeah.
my mom was one of 11 kids, so
Yeah.
her mom probably didn't have much time to think about
Yeah.
it.
So when you were looking to enlist in the Navy, it was
Well, I was only because my dad said I couldn't get married because they were going to draft me,
and he didn't want you to be
and I
married
didn't want to go in the army.
and get.
So I wanted. I liked the sea, so I went down and tried to get into the Navy, and they said they didn't have uniforms
But
for me.
here you are, you're unable to get into the Navy. That's your license then to see if you can ask this young lady for permission to marry.
Yeah, I did.
Right after that,
Yeah,
you would have been about 18, 19 years old.
yeah.
Didn't she just have a fight once and she threw the engagement ring? And you left her look for it when you had it in your pocket?
Oh, she threw my engagement. She argued with me one time, and she threw my engagement ring at me, and I scooped it up and I said, "I don't give a damn about you, but I paid a lot of money for that ring." And then she was looking all over for the ring, and I had it in my pocket.
Did so you knew she was the woman for you.
Yeah,
You asked her to marry you. You gave her a ring, okay, and then just whether you had any fights or anything, that's normal. But then you eventually got married.
you can't fight with a Dutchman. You're going to lose.
A Dutch woman.
Yeah. You're going to lose. Dutchmen don't lose.
Okay. And that was her. Her family was Dutch.
Yeah.
Deutsch.
Yeah, and I used to say, "You Dutch ain't much," and she said, "You hunkies are as dumb as a donkey."
So she was Pennsylvania Dutch, Deutsch.
Yeah.
Okay. And her family probably had been here long time,
Yeah.
and they had deep roots.
Yeah.
Then you come along, asked her. I guess you asked her mother Naomi for her daughter's hand in marriage,
Yeah.
and then I assume that she approved.
I don't recall that, and I really didn't care. I was getting married anyway. I wanted to find out what girls were about.
And then you did get married. Now what about that wedding? Where did you get married? Where
I
was
took
it
her
a
to
church?
Niagara Falls.
I thought Grandma got mad about her getting married because that was the 11 kids all gave her rent money, and that was
Yeah.
one less rent check.
The kids were all paying rent money, and that would have been one less rent she got. You're right.
It was her hairdresser money.
Yeah.
So
So
you
my
went
mom
you
told-
went you and Shirley went up to Niagara Falls to get hitched.
That's where I was born, and that's where I wanted to take her.
Mm-hmm. Did you have family up there at all, or?
Yeah, I had an uncle up there,
Mm-hmm.
but I really didn't know much about him. And
So you were still a youngster. You would have been about 19, 20 years old. How
Yeah.
old was she? About the same age.
They were born 2 days apart, 3
Yeah.
days apart.
Okay, so you were both very young. You got married.
And
then,
I did find out what girls were about.
And I'm sure you did.
Eventually.
And then you came back to the area. Where did you first, when you came back, first, where did you spend your honeymoon, if you had a honeymoon? Up in Niagara Falls. And then you came back to Norristown? You brought her back to Norristown, or where did you come back to? What was your first
No,
home?
Collegeville.
Okay. Your first home was in Collegeville.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a half of a double. It's a small place.
Mhm.
It's still there.
Right.
And I met Dolly Segrants and her husband. They lived.
And the other half.
Yeah.
And then was this what job did you take when you now you had a new wife?
Down the quarry. I was breaking rock.
That's when you started your work down in the quarry.
But how did you supplement your income to feed all of us kids?
Well, the kids started.
Oh, I was shooting darts.
Okay, but
And-
the kids came over time. They wasn't instantaneous.
Yeah. But I was shooting darts all the time in the bars.
For money,
Oh yeah.
and you obviously were pretty good at it.
Oh, absolutely. I was the best around.
Some trophies already.
And the one guy sitting at the corner of the bar, and everybody knew I was a top dart shooter. He said, "Do you think you're good?" And I said, "Yeah, I think I'm good, and everybody else thinks I'm good." And he's sitting, the dartboard's like over to that wall. He's sitting in this chair, and he said, "I can keep sitting on this stool and put a dart in the cork from here for $5.
It's big money.
And I said, "You're on." And I gave him the dart, and he reaches over there and he grabbed a bottle of wine from behind the counter, and he picked it up, he pulled the cork out, and he stuck a dart in the cork. I said, "Well, here's the money." I said, "Now if you're done with your bullshit, I will put my toe on that line." You know how far it is from the line to the cork? It's 9 feet. I will put my toe on that line and I will put this dart in that cork from this line. And he said, "You're on." And then I doubled the bet. And I just took one step and I stuck it in there, because that's 9 feet with the end of the dart, and I stuck it in. I stuck the dart in the cork. I put all three of them in the cork, and I picked up my money. I said, "If you're done with your bullshit," I said, "get the hell out of here," and he left.
I think that might be good for today. So thank you very much, Slim. We're going to continue with this discussion then at a future time.
Did you see all the pictures?
Yeah, last time, they were here
How
last
far did
week.